So how'd you pick Rocky Mount? I mean, you're from New York. Did you just like throw a dart at the map and boom, here we are?
We had a friend that her daughter used to come to our cafe in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, Rocky Mount. I was like, yeah, I know Rocky Mount. She's like, you know Rocky Mount? And she's talking about the opportunities of downtown, the incentives, and we're like, okay, let's go check it out.
Sure.
My dream has always been to move to the South. My family's from South Carolina, and I always, as a kid, I was like, oh, I used to drive through all these little towns as a kid.
Right.
And I'm like, man, look at these towns. They're so small. They're so quaint. This is like a dream. So, yeah. So
what part of South Carolina, and are you originally a Brooklyn native?
So my family is from Columbia.
Sure.
Orangeburg.
Yeah. Orange County. I know the area.
Yeah, they're from that area. Yeah.
Sure.
So as a kid, we would just travel throughout the South when I was a kid.
Orangeburg, home of South Carolina State University.
Yeah.
And you? Where are you from originally?
And I was born in Haiti.
Okay.
But I came to the United States when I was 7 years old.
Sure.
So New York is home.
Right.
In Brooklyn, New York. And that was one of my dreams too, to one day leave New York.
Yeah, sure. So how did y'all decide to immigrate to New York? I mean, was there just
we already had family here.
Okay.
And my grandmother, she came to the United States with her daughter and I believe, oh boy, I don't know how many family members, but maybe like 2 of her children out of 7.
Okay.
And she came to New York in Brooklyn.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about your grandmother then. So it sounds like she's a little bit of a pioneer, willing to take chances. I mean, it's hard to leave home. I don't care where home is.
Yes, but I was born in the 70s, so back in those days,
You mean back in those days? I remember the 70s.
Yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that feels a little more right.
Yeah. Everybody, wanted to be in the U.S. and for opportunities and education. So New York City was the place to be.
So you learned how to cook, I assume, from your grandmother or from others in the family. Where's the genesis story from the cooking, and how do we end up with the patties, and what exactly is different about a Haitian bakery than other places?
Well, my grandmother had a bakery in Haiti as well when she was growing up, and I didn't know that when I actually started to look into owning a bakery.
Sure.
But she's always been a cook. She would feed the whole village, and that was, she made bread and she made patties. And when we came to the United States, I lived with her for most of my childhood.
Okay.
So every morning when I got up, she made patties.
So what's a patty? I mean, I'm not sure everyone in the audience understands what that is. I mean, I hear patty, I think maybe hamburger, but I'm thinking it's something different, right?
It's a flaky dough. It's kind of like a croissant.
Okay.
But it's square.
Sure.
And it's very flaky, and it has savory. Like it'll be meat.
So it sounds like a croissant empanada, maybe something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So each region, have their patties
or patty. The definition of
what
a patty is.
Sure. Yeah. Well, how'd you meet? How'd y'all meet?
So we met.
South Carolina boy in Brooklyn, Haitian girl in Brooklyn. I mean, there's got to be a story here.
So I was, how we met was I was working at a retail store called the Atrium in New York City. I was a buyer manager. Very famous store. A lot of celebrities used to come to there. And I was like, oh, I need to find a wife.
It's just like that. You woke up one morning and said, today's the day?
I got to find a wife. So
okay.
Her actually cousin was working there.
Okay.
And he said, oh, I know somebody. I said, you don't know anybody. I'm sorry. No, thank you. And then he's like, no, I have a cousin. She's pretty quiet. I think, you guys should meet. And I avoided it. And one Halloween day, I decided, okay, let's go meet her. So we went to FIT. She went to FIT College.
Okay.
In Manhattan, and we met at the college. And the first day I said, okay, I'm going to marry you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. What did you say? I was going to say.
I didn't hear it.
Well, what were you thinking? I want to hear the other side of that.
I just thought he was a nice guy.
Really? That's all you're going to give him after that story? Come on.
Well, well, relationships take time.
That's
right.
right. They do. They do. They
So
do.
we got to know each
Yeah, we
other.
became friends and everything, and
Yeah, we were good friends for
Yeah.
like a good
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
And we were actually both interested. Well, I was already in fashion design
Yeah.
school, and he was interested in starting a line.
Clothing line,
Okay.
my own independent line, yeah. So I learned what I can.
Wait, he pretended to need help.
I pretended to need
Well, I
help.
mean, he's not
Creating a
stupid.
line.
He's
Yeah,
not
but
stupid.
there you go,
I mean,
you know,
you gotta do
yeah.
it. You gotta get it where you can.
Yeah,
you know.
get it where you So she showed me about learning different fabrics and patterns and the fashion.
I bet you were a very slow student too, aren't you?
Yeah, very slow.
it
Can't pay
took
attention to my
forever.
teacher. You know? Can't pay attention. So the fashion industry, there's so many parts to it. It's the fabric, it's the pattern, and the
Styling.
design, the wash. There's so many things to learn. So she crammed as much as she can in a few months course.
Right.
And I was able to start a line and learn the industry. It's a lot.
Well, tell me about that. I mean,
So
that's fascinating.
I mean,
And the fact that you were in fashion school is interesting.
Yeah.
We got a lot of ground to cover here.
Yeah. I mean, the fashion industry. I started as a kid working at a famous store in New York City called Mo Ginsburg
Okay.
in Manhattan. He was a haberdashery. Family came from Israel.
Okay.
And
So he actually made the hats.
so they would buy bulk
Okay.
from suppliers.
Okay.
And they had men's suits, shoes. So I worked on the fifth floor, and I learned about suits, inventory, merchandising, and I worked hand on hand with Mr. Mo Ginsburg, who taught me a lot about merchandising and selling. And I was the youngest there. I was like 16, and they just took me in as family, and they just walked me through that part of the industry of learning that business. So I started there and went on to, the fashion industry. There's merchandising, there's production. So I finally decided, I was like, at some
So
point,
really the business of fashion, I guess.
business of fashion, it's so much to learn from A to Z, from making a garment, selling a garment, to producing a garment, to distribution, to manufacturing, to wholesale, retail, bulk selling. So I was blessed to go through the whole phase of the industry from start to production. And the production side is where I didn't really know. So Joanne was able to teach me a little bit about the industry, and then I find a manufacturer, produce a line that I had to produce a line and get out to the stores. So we were in maybe about 20 stores.
Okay.
We had our own store. It did pretty well.
Sure.
I was still learning though. There was still a lot to learn in that process.
So you're spending all your time really on the business side, really retail. It sounds like a
retail
lot
side,
of it.
public relations. I worked with different fashion houses in the industry.
Right.
Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, doing PR marketing. So I kind of went through the whole phase of the fashion industry and learned the business at hand of how things go.
So you still do a little bit of that on the side? I mean, surely you're still designing stuff.
I
as
don't
you-
really design.
Yeah.
I do a little, I would say, consulting for a few
Okay.
stores in New York that needs thrift. North Carolina, I must say, you guys have the best thrift in the world.
Well, good.
So I supply thrift to a few stores in New York City
Okay.
currently
Awesome.
right now. So yeah.
So I gotta ask. I mean, you're both in fashion school. Yet we're talking about restaurants, and you're planning one here in Rocky Mount. Where was the connect? How did that end? I mean, you learned from your grandmother. You went to fashion school. So connect the dots for me.
Her sister used to make the patties,
Okay. All right.
and I was like, wow, these patties are amazing. They're amazing. And I said, this is a product. So her sister she works at NYU Hospital, and she was distributing a few at NYU, family, friends. It was like more of a home business,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is
So a little hustle,
It's a little
patty
hustle.
hustle
Yeah,
at
little
the
hustle.
hospital. Okay.
But the response was amazing. And I'm like, that's a product that should be a business where it has a store, it has a retail location. So I was like, let's take it to the market. So we started working together a little bit, having a few of my kind of friends sample it, see what it's like. A few people distribute a little bit to different markets, and the response was amazing. I was like, okay, now we get to do the store. So one day I was like, we're gonna get a store. She's like, what? So the idea was actually to get a garage in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And my friend, may he rest in peace, Lloyd Porter, who
Okay.
died from COVID in New York, he said, "I'm gonna get you guys a store. You're not getting a garage." I was like, "We don't want a store. We want a garage."
So your idea was a commercial kitchen kind of
Yeah,
thing, and just
yeah,
distribute perhaps.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Okay.
So we went and looked
And he
at a
said,
store.
"No, you're better than that. We
Yeah,
need
you need a
you."
garage. You need to get a
Yeah.
store, and then we got a store, and then it took off.
Yeah.
It took off.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
the response was to have. I mean, we had soup, we had patties, we had sandwiches, but that was a staple of the business. A lot of people from all over the world came, not the country.
Well,
people
I've
from all over the world
Googled
came.
you. I've read the reviews. Nothing but outstanding
Yeah,
everything. I mean, blessed to have you here,
Yeah,
Rocky
yeah.
Mountain.
We are really excited to be here. To be honest, every day I wake up in Rocky Mount, I feel like I'm on vacation. The weather, the people, it's every day I'm like, wow, I can't believe this.
Well, that's
We're
great
like,
to
we
hear.
can't believe we live here.
Can't believe I live here.
Yeah.
You got and the Rocky Mountain, you have farms.
That's right.
You get your fresh food from the farms.
Absolutely. Not far out of town, right?
Not far out
Yes.
of town.
Yeah.
You have the pools. You have the weather. I mean, it's like
Well, I'm
Yes.
glad. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
But the way you connect, starting a restaurant, like you come from a fashion industry and then all of a sudden you're opening a restaurant.
Yeah.
We found that there was a lot of similarities.
Okay.
And
Walk
really,
me through that.
Yeah. The reason that we started a food business was so that we can,
leave New York.
Yeah.
leave New York and fulfill that dream that we've always wanted to,
Right.
leaving and finding a small town. So because we're from the fashion industry, we said, well, okay, if you're going to be in the fashion industry, you want to be in New York.
That's right.
But if you want to leave New York, then you have to figure out, are you going to go work for someone or are you going to start your own business? And what can you do that you can bring anywhere? So we started the restaurant,
Okay.
for
and
that purpose.
I got to think that the marketing, the understanding the texture, the packaging,
Yeah.
has really helped in that process. I don't assume, but it feels like that would be a great little add-on.
Yes.
So, where's your location here? When's the grand opening? Let's
So-
talk about that because, really, we want to see you guys be very successful, and anything I can do to help, I want to be part of it. So,
Okay.
but tell me
So-
about where it's going to be.
Our location is 110 Tarboro Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the beautiful downtown area of Rocky Mount.
Uh huh.
We're looking to be open for spring.
Okay.
Yeah, we was able to get a
2022.
nice building, and we had a lot of work, a lot
Oh,
of
yeah, well.
construction. It was a brand new building we was able to purchase, so it's been a lot of construction. So we had to gut the whole building out, and so yeah, we're looking for spring.
So, have y'all been doing a lot of the work yourselves, or
No, we have a great contractor
Okay, good.
that a good friend of ours.
Good.
From New York that actually is doing us a favor. He was actually a good family friend,
Good.
so he's really
What are friends for, right?
yeah, his team is
Yes.
doing the work. So we're looking forward to opening up. A lot of response so far on our social media page. People know we here,
Right.
and they're anticipating the opening of our business. And we're not hoping, but we know our business is going to bring a lot of traffic to downtown because our following is national and international.
Sure.
So we're hoping to bring a attraction to downtown Rocky
Sure.
Mount and the city around of Rocky Mount.
So, have you considered distribution of the patties? I mean, you originally were going to start with kind of a commercial kitchen, and
Yeah.
so how well they freeze and hold? I mean, have you
Yeah.
considered even larger than just beyond the retail site? I'm just
So
curious.
we're
Well, that's also another reason why we're here in Rocky Mount, because we saw that there was a great opportunity for us to not only start over again, but once we're ready to expand that business, because you guys have so many different factories,
Right.
or the opportunity to
incentives.
Right.
to
Sure.
be
All
able
that.
to
Well, the
Yeah, that's
distribution even from the train. I mean,
Yes.
you put stuff going north, New York, Philadelphia,
Yep.
and you plenty of going south as well. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another
Another-
thing that attracted us to
Right.
Rocky Mount, the fact that Amtrak is right here. Like if
Yeah.
we do want to go home to New York and visit
Oh,
some
sure.
family, it's a
Yeah.
8 hour ride, right?
And I have a little obsession.
Exactly 8 hours.
I have an
Yes.
obsession with trains.
I do too.
I love the sounds of trains.
I'm still a kid. I don't know what it is about it, but I still
Yeah.
love choo-choo trains and
Yeah.
erector sets and building, and
Yes.
I'm just kind of stuck there. Airplanes,
Yeah.
love it all.
Yes, I do too. People are like, "You like airports?" I'm like, "I love it." The thought of going somewhere.
Yeah.
Number one, even if you're going on business,
Right.
it kind of feels like, okay, you can relax a little bit.
Right.
You know, you could sit down, somebody else got the wheel, so.
Yeah, you get a few St. Louis sodas or maybe a
Yes.
glass of vino, and it's a nice,
Yes,
easy
get to
ride.
know some
Really,
people.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right. I mean, and the seats are. I mean, really, I enjoy the train. It's my preferred route if I can make it. Now,
Yes.
much beyond 8 hours, and I just can't do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, so what have I not asked that I should ask? You know, so I really want to promote you guys, your product, your store. So is there anything that I've missed in the story? I love your story, by the way. I love the way you met. I mean, I love it all. I think it's great. And
I think, like I said, what I learned about this beautiful city of Rocky Mount, to me, is self-sufficient.
right.
You have transportation, trains, you have farms. Like you don't have to depend on tourism yet,
Right.
and the city's functioning. I think this city can become one of the greatest smaller towns within North Carolina. Just a few more incentives I think we would need for more businesses to
Sure.
open up, because you guys have a beautiful downtown.
We do. You guys live here. You're part of we now.
Yeah.
We have
Yes,
that.
yes.
we have that. We have that. We have that.
Yes.
That's true.
It's not too far from New York. It's not too far from Virginia. And just to have a nice town situation like that, the city is going. Well, Rocky Mount is going to win. I really believe it's going to leave pretty soon. It's like in the right place at the right time. And we did the Halloween crawl this weekend.
Yeah.
And
How was
we met-
that?
It was great.
so
We met
fun.
so many people from different places: California,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, New York, DC. A lot of people have actually moved to Rocky Mount.
I know.
So I
Yes.
think this city in the next couple of years is going to be one of the major cities. I think so.
I feel like we have a lot of wind in our sails. I really do. And it is interesting. We are having a lot of people move into town. They're
Yeah.
people much like you, from New York, from other places, not just because they have necessarily roots to the area, which I found kind of interesting. And,
Wow.
as I knock on doors and talk to people, and I think that enriches the city. I think
Yeah.
it
Yes.
creates all kinds of wonderful different viewpoints and exchanges that you can have that I think just make a well-rounded community as a whole.
Yes, yes.
So again, I want to welcome you guys, and I want to thank you for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
And again, anything I can do to help, I'm just excited for you, and can't wait to try out a patty.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
And when we first moved down here, we seen you. I forget we were somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's the man in the pickup truck. I was like, that's the man. He's like, yeah, he just walks around. He's close.
And that's another thing that we love.
Sure.
The fact that, you're able to
Access to
have access to the council leaders.
Sure.
Mayor. Yeah.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
just to give a few viewpoints and ideas, and just have a conversation of how we can bring something to the city and how we can have a conversation.
And even with downtown, like going to the bar crawl, it's the way they all work together. Really trying to push and promote downtown, and it's such a beautiful space.
That has been a wonderful thing to see. I mean,
Yes.
that Downtown Merchants Association and the group have kind of pulled that
Became a
together
family.
for themselves. They have become a family, and they are pushing downtown. And I'm loving to see so many little small bistros and coffee shops kind of begin to emerge. It's a little bit of a checkerboard right now. But you can begin to see, to your point, sort of a beginning of an infrastructure, a skeleton of what we really have that could be, that will be. And you guys are part of that fabric,
Yes,
and I
yes.
think that's interesting and exciting. I didn't make the pub crawl, and that was probably best for everybody, but I'm glad to hear that it was successful.
Well, we missed you.
I'm not sure you did.
Well, for the newcomers.
Yeah.
Not trying to create more stories, right? But anyway,
It was a good time.
yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. Really, I am
Yeah.
glad to hear that. And several people said, a number of those events that we've had have been really good. And so it's still on my list. I'm going to make it happen. Although I was in town this week. Anyway,
You'll get there.
I will. I know I will.
So it is is your department, or are you guys looking, is there anything that you're looking forward to happening, or like what, what participations are you guys?
Sure. You talking like from the mayoral perspective? One of the things we did today is we had call it a mini council retreat. It's really left over from our retreat in Asheville. We had committed that we would come together and figure out better ways to work together, to establish better communication, to try to work toward achieving, at least defining common goals. And I thought that the meeting went very well. I was very excited about it. So I think what will come out of that is a more comprehensive plan for the city that we can be both opportunistic and at the same time also press harder to try to make certain things happen, depending on what we feel like is important for the development of the community. So I'm seeing a lot of that kind of energy, if you will, even at the council level and at the city management level. So I'm excited to see that. Clearly, we have a lot of changes. We have kind of a lot of growth. If you look at what the Gateways Partnership is talking to in terms of recruitment of industry in the area, it's a phenomenal number. I think, don't quote me, but if everybody came to town that we've been looking at, when I say town, I mean Edgecombe, Nash counties, and Rocky Mount, we'd have over $9 billion with a B of capital investment on the ground, and it would create some ridiculous number of jobs in the tens of thousands. Obviously we're not going to get 100% of that, just won't. But
even half of that,
Well, we got 10% of that, I think would be pretty doggone good for an economy our size. And a lot of it is tied to the logistical place that we find ourselves in. We're at the intersection of I-95 and what will be Interstate 87 going to Norfolk in many years. We're on the main line of the Atlantic coast for the train. We have an airport that is seeing increased numbers of call it commercial flights. I mean, I don't mean commercial flights like people flying in, but cargo flights. That's what I was looking for. And we're seeing more and more and more of that. And so we have the ability logistically to really kind of expand from that. And I mean, to the point that the airport authority is considering, or at least beginning some discussions as to whether to add a rail line from the airport to Sharpsburg, which is actually the closest place to it. Wow. So we start looking at those types of synergistic opportunities or logistical opportunities. I'm excited. And in addition, the proximity to Raleigh, which is the fastest growing place in North Carolina at the moment, rapidly starting to look for land currently in Nash County, and we're even starting to see real development occurring in Edgecombe County. It's an exciting time to be in the area. And, of course, I'm the mayor, so I just want to see Rocky Mount be successful to the extent that we can build one community that really is just that, a community. Then I think that we're all going to be winners.
Yes.
And so I'm seeing a lot of good things. Now, does it happen next year? Is it 5 years? Is it, I don't know. My crystal ball is a little fuzzy. Yeah. But I believe, to your point, it's coming. It's just coming, and it's going to be hard for us to be successful, not be successful, even despite ourselves. I just feel like that the winds are at our back right now. So I'm optimistic, excited. With that said, get a little, I think the word's maybe frustrated. Downtown development, we talk about it. There's a lot of good things happening, but I just want it to happen faster than what's happening, right? But things take time. I mean, it took you time to find your building, to gut it, to build it out. Yes. You're looking at an opening in the spring, so things just take time. You can't make it happen overnight.
Definitely, and then that's another thing like we learned too, because we're in the business of move.
Yeah, yesterday was late.
Yes, we wanted it, like now.
Sure.
And when we originally came down, we moved in June, and we were like, oh, we'll be open by October.
Sure.
Well.
Yeah, well.
Now we're like,
what year?
We'll be open.
You didn't tell me what year.
That's true.
Well, we got a chance to meet. I think, what was important that we got a chance to meet a lot of amazing people.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help the business. So now we're just meeting people.
Yeah. And that's a big part of it, right?
Yes.
Anybody I can introduce you to? I mean, again, I want to see you guys be successful. I want to see downtown redevelop. I'm encouraged and excited by it.